My name is Vanessa, and this is the story of how my dad tried to ambush me with a $60,000 bill, how he thought he could trap me into paying for something I didn't even owe, and how, in the end, he couldn't escape what followed. From the outside, my family looked like the kind of family people envied. My dad was a well-known contractor in town. My mom was quiet and devoted, and my older brother, Ryan, was the golden boy. He was the one everyone bragged about, the future of the family. And me. I was the daughter who was supposed to stay out of trouble, stay in the background, and obey. What people didn't see was the truth. My father ruled our house with money. Every decision, every ounce of approval, every crumb of love was tied to finances. If he paid for something, he owned you. If he gave you anything, he made sure you never forgot you owed him. My mom went along with it, too scared to argue. And Ryan, he thrived in it. He was spoiled, reckless, and entitled, but my dad never held him accountable. Every time Ryan messed up, my dad swooped in to clean the mess, and somehow, it always landed on me. As a kid, I was the responsible one. I did my homework without being asked, got a job as soon as I could, and tried to be invisible so I wouldn't trigger my dad's temper. But being invisible didn't mean being safe. My dad had a way of reminding me that even if I wasn't causing problems, I was still his to control. When I got older, I thought maybe things would change. I went to college, studied hard, got a part-time job to cover most of my tuition, and only needed a small loan from him for the gap. I promised myself I would pay him back as soon as I graduated. He liked to remind me that he was investing in me, but deep down I knew it was leverage. Still, I thought I could manage it. That was before Ryan's recklessness spiraled out of control. He loved living beyond his means. Cars, trips, gambling with friends. He acted like money was endless, and every time the bills piled up, my dad covered them. At least, that's what I thought. I didn't realize how far Ryan's debt had gone until the night of the ambush. It started with a simple invitation. Dinner at my parents' house. My mom called and said, "Your dad wants to have a family meal. Just come." Okay. Her voice sounded strange, almost nervous, but I didn't think much of it. Maybe she was just tired. When I arrived, Ryan was already there, leaning back in his chair, smirking like always. My dad sat at the head of the table, serious, and my mom busied herself with dishes. Something in the air felt heavy, but I tried to ignore it. We ate in silence for most of the meal. My dad, occasionally asking stiff questions about my classes, my job, my future plans. His tone was sharp, judgmental, as if he was looking for cracks in my answers. When dessert was cleared away, he finally leaned back, folded his hands, and said, "Vanessa, there's something important we need to discuss." My stomach dropped. His tone was the same one he used when I was younger and he was about to lecture me. I braced myself. He reached into his briefcase by his chair, pulled out a stack of papers, and slid them across the table, toward me. "This is yours." Confused, I picked up the papers. The words blurred at first, but then I saw the numbers. $60,000. My chest tightened. What is this?" "It's a bill," he said calmly, like it was nothing. "Your responsibility." I blinked. "Mine? What are you talking about? I don't owe $60,000. Ryan shifted uncomfortably, but my dad shot him a look and he went quiet. My mom wrung her hands at the sink, her eyes downcast. My dad's voice hardened. "Ryan took out loans in your name. He needed help, and as family, you're going to step up. You'll sign these papers and start paying." The room spun. My own brother. My name on debts I never agreed to. And my father sitting there like it was a done deal. Like I was just supposed to nod and obey. "No," I whispered, shaking my head. "This isn't mine. I didn't sign for this. I'm not paying." His eyes narrowed, his voice dropping to that dangerous calm I had known all my life. "Vanessa, don't make this harder than it has to be. You owe this family. You've had it easy while Ryan struggled. It's your turn to carry the weight." I felt my hands tremble, my throat closing. Easy. I had worked for everything I had. I had scraped and saved and sacrificed. Ryan had been handed everything and wasted it, and now they wanted me to clean up his mess. I shoved the papers back across the table. "No, this isn't mine. I won't do it." The silence that followed was deafening. Then my dad's voice exploded. "If you don't, I'll make sure you regret it. I'll cut you off. No tuition, no support, nothing, do you hear me?" I stood, tears burning in my eyes, my heart pounding. For a moment, I wanted to scream, to throw the papers in his face, but instead, I turned and walked out. My mom's voice followed me weakly. "Vanessa, please, just think about it. That night, I sat in my tiny apartment, shaking with anger and fear. My dad thought he had me cornered. He thought he could bully me into signing away $60,000, into carrying Ryan's mistakes like I always had. But what he didn't know was that I wasn't powerless anymore. Because I had proof that those debts weren't mine, proof that I never signed anything, proof that Ryan had forged my name, and I was going to use it. The night after the dinner ambush, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that stack of papers sliding across the table. My dad's cold expression, Ryan's smug silence, my mom's downcast eyes. My own family had tried to trap me into paying $60,000 for something I never agreed to. By morning, anger had taken the place of shock. I wasn't just hurt, I was furious. My own father had decided my life, my future, my hard work, meant nothing compared to protecting Ryan from his own mistakes. I paced my apartment, clutching the papers I had grabbed on my way out. My dad had been so sure he had me cornered. But as I flipped through the documents again, I saw what I already suspected. The signature wasn't mine. It looked similar, but I knew every loop, every curve of my own handwriting. This was Ryan's sloppy attempt at copying me. My heart pounded as I whispered to myself, he forged my name. I wasn't powerless anymore. For years, I had stayed quiet, let my dad control me, let Ryan get away with everything. But this time, I had proof. Still, fear gnawed at me. My dad had always known how to make me doubt myself. He would twist reality until I questioned my own memory. What if no one believed me? What if they sided with him, like they always did? That afternoon, Ethan came over. Ethan had been my rock through so much, patient, kind, the one person who never made me feel small. The moment he saw my face, he dropped his bag and pulled me into his arms. What happened? He asked gently. I told him everything, the dinner, the papers, my dad's threats. By the end, my voice was shaking with rage. He wants me to pay $60,000, Ethan, for Ryan's mess. He thinks he can bully me into it. Ethan took the papers, scanning them carefully. When he saw the signature, his eyebrows shot up. This isn't yours. Not even close. Claire, this is forgery. Hearing him say it out loud steadied me. I know, but if I fight him, he'll retaliate. He'll cut off tuition, my housing support. He'll tell everyone I'm ungrateful. That's what he always does. Ethan set the papers down and took my hands. Then let him. You don't need him anymore. You have the truth. You have me, and we'll figure it out together. For the first time, I let myself believe it. Maybe I wasn't trapped. Maybe I could finally fight back. The next few days were tense. My dad called me repeatedly, leaving voicemails that swung between icy calm and explosive fury. Vanessa, don't drag this out. Do the right thing. Then, you're embarrassing this family. You'll regret this. Then, fine. If you won't step up, don't expect a dime from me ever again. Each message twisted my stomach, but I didn't respond. Instead, I started gathering everything I could. Old notebooks, signed forms, documents with my real signature. If this turned into a battle, I'd be ready. Then, out of nowhere, Ryan showed up at my apartment. He leaned against the doorframe, grinning like this was all a game. Come on, Vanessa, he said smoothly. Just sign the papers. Dad will calm down, and it'll all go away. You make more money than me anyway. You can handle it. I stared at him, disbelief and rage colliding in my chest. You forged my name, Ryan. You tried to dump your debt on me. Do you even realize what you've done? He shrugged, unfazed. Relax, it's just family. We cover for each other. That's how it works. No, I snapped. That's how it's always worked for you. Dad bails you out. Mom looks the other way, and I get shoved into the background. But not this time. His smirk faltered. You're seriously going to fight us? Over money, over my life, I said firmly. I'm done being your scapegoat. He muttered something under his breath and stormed off. But not before throwing one last line over his shoulder. You'll regret this, Vanessa. Dad always wins. But as the door slammed shut, I whispered to myself, not this time. The following weekend, my dad invited the family over for another talk. I didn't go. I knew what it was, another ambush, another attempt to pressure me. Instead, I spent that night with Ethan, organizing my proof, rehearsing what I'd say if this ever went legal. The more I prepared, the stronger I felt. And then the real twist came. A few days later, I received an official letter in the mail. It was from the loan company. The account was flagged for fraud. Someone had reported that the signature on the documents didn't match their records. My hands shook as I read it. Someone else had noticed. maybe an employee, maybe an audit, but either way, the lie was cracking on its own. I called Ethan immediately, my voice trembling. They flagged it. They know it's fraud. He laughed with relief. That's it, Vanessa. They can't touch you now. It's over. But deep down, I knew it wasn't over. Not with my father. He wasn't going to admit defeat easily. He was going to double down, fight harder, try to twist the story. He'd rather burn everything down than admit he was wrong. And I was ready for him. When that letter arrived from the loan company, I sat at my kitchen table for hours just staring at it. Fraud. That one word felt like oxygen rushing into my lungs. After months of suffocation, for the first time, it wasn't just me screaming into the void, insisting I was innocent. There it was, in black and white proof that someone else had seen the truth. But my relief was short-lived, because I knew my dad. He wasn't the type to crumble under evidence. He was the type to twist it, bury it, or turn it against me. I decided I had to get ahead of him. I made copies of the letter, tucked one in my backpack, one at Ethan's place, and even scanned it to a secure email. If my dad thought he could lose the paper trail, he was wrong. I was done playing the defenseless daughter. Ethan watched me as I worked, his eyes full of both pride and worry. Vanessa, are you sure you want to go head-to-head with him? He's not going to take this quietly. I looked up at him, fire burning in my chest. I've been quiet my whole life, Ethan. And where has it gotten me? Ambushed at a dinner table with a $60,000 debt that isn't mine. No more. He started this. I'm going to finish it. The next few weeks were a blur of preparation. I gathered every signature I could find of mine. Old school forms, leases, job applications. I highlighted the differences between my handwriting and the forged one on the loan papers. I even spoke with a professor who specialized in forensic accounting. He agreed to glance at the documents, and his casual opinion was enough to confirm what I already knew. Whoever signed this was not the same person who signed these other forms. Meanwhile, the tension with my family grew unbearable. My dad kept leaving me voicemails, cold, clipped, full of veiled threats. Vanessa, stop embarrassing us. Don't think you can win this, remember. Who made your life possible? My mom's calls were different. Her voice was always shaky, torn. Honey, just sign it, please. Keep the peace. Your father won't forgive you if you fight this. And every time, I bit my tongue to stop myself from screaming, keep the peace. Where was peace when my father slid those papers across the table? Where was peace when Ryan forged my name? Peace had been dead for a long time. Ryan, of course, acted like nothing was happening. He'd post photos of himself partying, traveling, living his carefree life. I'd see them online and feel my stomach churn. He was the reason for all of this, and he didn't even care. But cracks were forming. Word had gotten around that something shady was going on. A cousin messaged me late one night. Hey, I heard your dad tried to dump Ryan's debt on you. Is that true? I froze, staring at the screen. My dad's image, the strong, respected provider, was starting to crumble, and I hadn't even lifted a finger yet. That weekend, Ethan and I decided to go to a family barbecue at my aunt's house. We knew my dad and Ryan would be there, and part of me dreaded the confrontation, but another part of me wanted it. I was tired of hiding. Sure enough, the whispers started the moment I walked in. Aunts, uncles, cousins, all stealing glances at me, then at my dad, murmuring behind their hands. My father tried to command the room, as always, laughing too loudly, boasting about work, but I could see the tension in his shoulders. He knew the story was slipping out of his control. At one point he pulled me aside, his face tight with anger. What are you playing at, Vanessa? Going around spreading lies about your own family? I stared at him, unblinking. I haven't said a word. The truth is, doing the talking all on its own. His jaw clenched, and for a moment, I saw something I'd never seen in him before. Fear. When I got home that night, I knew what I had to do. I drafted a letter of my own, addressed to the loan company, formally disputing the debt. I included copies of my real signatures, the fraud notice, and a detailed explanation. It felt like drawing a line in the sand. I would not be his scapegoat. Days later, I got a call from the loan company's fraud department. A calm woman's voice told me they were launching a full investigation. Thank you for providing your documentation, Ms. Andrews. This will help us greatly. My knees went weak with relief. Finally, someone was listening. Finally, I wasn't alone in this fight. But even as I hung up, I knew my dad wouldn't take it quietly. He wasn't just fighting me anymore, he was fighting to protect his golden boy, to protect the image he had built for himself. And when the investigation dug deeper, when the truth came out, he wouldn't be able to escape it. The weeks that followed felt like a storm gathering over my head. My dad's calls grew more aggressive, Ryan's smugness turned into nervous silence, and my mom begged me again and again to just let it go. But I couldn't. I wasn't going to carry $60,000 of debt for a mistake I didn't make. I wasn't going to let my father win this time. Then the letter came, thick envelope, official letterhead from the loan company's fraud department. My hands trembled as I tore it open. Inside was a detailed report. The signature had been examined by handwriting experts. The conclusion was bold and clear. The borrower's signature is inconsistent with verified samples of Vanessa Andrews. My heart slammed in my chest. They believed me. They knew it wasn't mine. I barely had time to process before my phone rang. It was the fraud investigator herself. Ms. Andrews, thank you for your patience. We've confirmed the loan was fraudulent. You will not be held responsible for the $60,000. The matter is now being referred to legal authorities. Legal authorities. That meant Ryan. That meant my dad. That meant their lies had finally reached a wall they couldn't climb over. I sat in silence after the call. Tears running down my face. Relief, anger, vindication, it all crashed into me at once. For so long, I had been treated like the weak one, the obedient one, the scapegoat. But now, the truth was undeniable. When I told Ethan, he pulled me into his arms and whispered, "See, I told you, you're stronger than him. You always were." But the real showdown came a week later. My aunt invited me to another family dinner, and for the first time, I said yes without hesitation. Word had already spread. People were whispering about fraud, about the investigation, about Ryan's name being tied to forged documents. I knew my father hated it. He thrived on control. And now, he couldn't control the story anymore. When I walked into my aunt's dining room, the conversations dipped into silence. My dad was at the far end of the table, face like stone. Ryan sat next to him, pale and jittery. My mom looked like she wanted to sink into the floor. I took my seat, head high, heart pounding. Halfway through the meal, my father finally snapped. "You think you've won, don't you?" His voice was low, venomous. "You've dragged this family's name through the mud. Do you have any idea what you've done?" I set my fork down and met his gaze. My voice was steady. "No, Dad, you did this. You tried to trap me with a $60,000 bill that wasn't mine. You let Ryan forge my name. And now the truth is out. That's not on me. That's on you." The table was silent. My relatives shifted uncomfortably, but no one spoke. Ryan muttered, "It wasn't a big deal. Not a big deal." I cut him off, my voice rising. "You tried to ruin my future. You thought you could gamble with my life like it meant nothing. And Dad, you let him. You encouraged him. You always have." My father's face turned red, his fist slamming on the table. "Enough, you don't talk to me like that. I'm your father." For the first time in my life, I didn't flinch. I leaned forward and said, "You stopped being a father the moment you chose control over love. The moment you decided Ryan's mistakes mattered more than my future. The moment you tried to ambush me with a lie. You don't own me anymore. You never did." The silence that followed was deafening. My dad's chest heaved, but he had no words, because the truth had stripped him bare. I stood, my legs shaking but my voice strong. "I have proof, Dad. Proof that this debt isn't mine. The loan company has already cleared me, and the authorities are involved. You can't scare me anymore. You can't silence me anymore. And you can't escape what's coming." I walked out of that room, my heart pounding with adrenaline. Behind me, I heard whispers ripple through my family. The golden image of my father, the man in control, had shattered. Days later, the final blow came. The authorities contacted me again. Ryan was officially under investigation for fraud. My father tried to shield him, tried to call in favors, but it was too late. The story was out. His reputation was tarnished, his power slipping through his fingers. And me. I was free. When I look back now, it's hard to believe how close I came to losing everything because of one dinner and one stack of papers. My dad thought he had me cornered. He thought he could bully me into carrying Ryan's mistakes, the way I had carried the weight of our family's dysfunction my entire life. He thought $60,000 and his threats would break me. But what he didn't know was that I had something stronger than his control. The truth. For so long, I had believed the lie that I was powerless, that I was trapped, that I had to obey to survive. But when I finally stood up, when I finally gathered my proof, when I finally said no, I realized I had been stronger than him all along. My dad always said family means sacrifice. But in his version of family, sacrifice was one side. Ryan made mistakes, and I was expected to clean them up. My dad wanted control. and I was expected to hand over my freedom. That's not family. That's manipulation. The day the authorities cleared my name, I felt lighter than I had in years. The chains he had wrapped around me were gone. And the day I stood in that dining room and told him he didn't own me anymore, that was the day I finally felt free. Ryan's investigation dragged on, and my dad's reputation took hit after hit. He couldn't spin the story anymore. He couldn't hide the truth. And every time someone whispered about what happened, I felt the balance shift a little more. For once, I wasn't the one being shamed. He was. Ethan stood by me through it all. He reminded me that love isn't control. It isn't fear. It isn't sacrifice at the expense of yourself. Love is freedom, encouragement, partnership. With him, I learned what family should feel like: support, not shackles. I don't know if my dad ever regrets what he did. Maybe in his mind, he still thinks he was right. Maybe he still believes obedience is the same as loyalty. But here's the truth: he can believe whatever he wants, because his belief doesn't control me anymore. And Ryan, maybe one day he'll face the full weight of what he did. Maybe he'll realize that forging my name was more than just a mistake. Maybe he'll finally understand that other people's lives aren't his safety net. But whether he does or doesn't, I won't be the one cleaning up his mess anymore. Because the best revenge isn't paying them back. It isn't shouting louder or striking harder. The best revenge is living free, living true, and living well despite them. My dad ambushed me with a $60,000 bill, thinking he could trap me. But what followed wasn't his victory, it was mine. I proved the truth. One chose myself. I walked away, and I've never looked back.